Well, guys, after tons of promotion and much hype, the film you guys have all been waiting for me to review has finally come. Hey guys, it's Caden, my review for a movie that I have just been so excited to watch, and you guys are probably sick of me talking about at this point, but now it's finally here, and that of course is Adam Haskell's highly anticipated film by none of you except for me and a few other people, that of course being The Batman Cookie for Another Day of Sun. So, The Batman Cookie for Another Day of Sun, I can't really get into too much about this movie because if I say too much, it ruins kind of the whole experience, but without spoiling anything, basically this movie centers on the Batman Cookie, and he basically was a former police officer, who, once had all these friends and things like that, and in the last movie, we found out that the Batman Cookie got this invitation to, this cabin that his friends Adam and Dustin they actually stayed at and were later, killed in another movie, which again, if you guys haven't seen the other movies, you're completely fine with this one. But basically, he gets this invitation by a complete stranger, and when he gets there, he starts to realize that there's a little bit more going on with this guy than he thinks, and that's really all I'm gonna say, because I don't want to spoil this movie too much. So, The Batman Cookie for Another Day of Sun. Again, I know I've been promoting this movie a lot, and I know you guys are probably sick of me talking about it, but I have to tell you guys, I was really excited about this movie for a couple reasons. One, Adam Haskell has made a lot of movies in this franchise, but they've all kind of been just like silly films that really aren't meant to be anything, they're just meant to be stupid, and that's really it. And this really was the first film that he was making where he actually was legitimately trying, and he really did want to make something great. And, at first I'm like, yeah, whatever, because, he said that with some of his other films, and they're just really silly. But this one, he actually did try to take seriously, and I'm like, alright, I really hope this is something great. Trailers came out, I was definitely on board, and I have to say, guys, that all of the hype and promotion really did pay off, because Batman Cookie for Another Day of Sun is a fantastic movie. It's bleak, it's very dark at points, but it is a great movie that I am very happy that I got the time to watch. But let's just get into it, starting off with the cast. So, the cast here, once again, I can't really say too much about because I don't want to spoil too much regarding their roles in the movie. But first, let's talk about Adam Haskell himself as the role of the Batman Cookie, who this character has been kind of all over the place. He really has. In the first movie, I don't want to say, a lot because it honestly is kind of, the first movie, his characters just had a lot of different iterations. Let's just say that. The iteration he has in this movie, though, I really did love. The Batman Cookie is a man who, without spoiling too much, he's gone through a lot of shit, and a lot has really happened to him. He lost a lot of people that really mattered in his life, and he's kind of at a point where he doesn't really know what to do with himself anymore. So when he gets this invitation, it really does open up a lot of confidence in himself, and it makes him a little bit more hopeful. And I really thought that Adam Haskell did a really great job portraying this man who has just been through a lot, and he's really recounting on a lot of the experiences he had. And you get the sense that this is someone who he hasn't really gotten to talk to anyone about this, and he hasn't really gotten to share his experiences with someone. And when things go wrong for the Batman Cookie, it's all the more heartbreaking. I don't want to talk about what actually happens, but things really do take a turn, and when it does happen, it's all the more heartbreaking. It really is elevated by how good Haskell really was as his character. He was so committed, and you could tell there were times where, he could have easily broken character, but he really didn't. He stayed fully committed to this character. He did an incredible job, and I really did love what we got here. He was absolutely fantastic here. However, easily the scene stealer of this movie is Dustin Nichols, who I can't say much about the character that he plays, but he was incredible here. And him and Adam have been making movies together for a very long time. But this is really the first role that I saw him in where I'm like, holy shit, this guy is good. I mean, I've seen him in other movies, but he really went all out here. And again, without spoiling things, he starts off the movie, he's like this shy little boy who, clearly doesn't have a lot of friends. And the way that him and the Batman Cookie get to know each other, I just thought was so well done. They both have had very similar experiences. And again, without saying too much, there's a certain, there's a certain change that this character does undergo. And the way that Nichols was able to switch from this personality to the other was just perfect. It was so natural. It didn't feel forced at all. And I think he did an incredible job in this role. He was so haunting at points, but he was also so endearing. And you cared about the character just as much as you were creeped out by him, because there's just something off about him. The second you meet him, you just know there's something not right. And again, Nichols completely lost himself as this character. He's completely unrecognizable. I mean, if Adam would not have told me that this was Dustin, I honestly would not have thought it was, because he did such a great job at just losing himself into this role. And after this movie, I think he definitely has a real future here. And the chemistry between these two is absolutely fantastic. You could tell that the Batman cookie, he's a little bit weirded out by some of, Nichols' character's sort of addictions and things like that, and sort of the things that he likes to do, but at the same time, he longs for some sort of connection, and he wants to be able to have some sort of bond. And even though things are really weird for this character, he wants to try to, he wants to try to make things, work. And I thought these two just worked perfectly together. I really did love their relationship in the movie, and their relationship is easily one of the best things about this movie by far. And the rest of the cast in the movie, as much as I do want to talk about, Tony's character, Caden's character, I can't really say too much. Why? Because they're actually one of my negatives with the movie, and we're going to get into that in a little bit. They all definitely did a really good job. Tony Estrada especially, he's got this one really heartbreaking scene that honestly was really well done. Caden as well has some really good stuff throughout the movie. Ryan Pierce and Brian Mendoza, can't really say too much about. They're barely in the movie. Brian Mendoza's in like one scene, so I can't really say too much about them. But they're actually going to be more heavily featured on the extended cut. I'm actually well aware of that. But let me just say, there really is not a single bad performance in this movie. I think everyone really did do an incredible job, and everyone really did stay committed to their characters fully throughout the film. Now I do want to get into the directing and the writing, because as I did tell you guys, I mean, I was going to judge this movie as objectively as possible. I'm able to separate the film from the person. And do I love this movie? Yes. Is this movie perfect? No. And we're going to get into some of the problems right now. First of all, the directing is great. The directing is definitely not one of the problems. This movie has a very bleak, ominous tone to it, and it works really well. The other movies that Adam Haskell and Dustin Nichols have made, without spoiling, but I don't want you guys to watch them. I really don't. Don't watch those movies, because they're completely different than one you have here. They were a lot more silly and ridiculous, and this one's just a lot more dark, and you could tell that Haskell was going for something really different, but it really worked. I mean, I really did feel the darkness of this movie, the hopelessness that this movie really does have. He did an incredible job with the tone here, and I think that he was able to maintain that tone just really well throughout the film. It really did impress me, guys, I have to say. Really great stuff there. But now we gotta get into the writing, because, again, I want to say a lot here, but I don't want to get into too much without spoiling it. The writing here is fantastic. I mean, this screenplay is just so well done, especially the story we have going on here. Like I said, to its core, the movie's about a lot of things, but it really is a movie about friendship and making connections and being able to get over a lot of the sins of the past, which the Batman cookie's not able to do. Throughout the movie, he often harkens back to when his life was better or when things were simpler for him, and you really do feel for this character, and I think they just did a really great job in getting into the psychosis of this character, and juxtapose that with Nichols' character, who is very weird and psychotic, and again, I'm not going to get into why that is, but he definitely did an incredible job here. The juxtaposition of those two characters were just so well examined, and they could have easily just had Nichols' character be very one-note and just very sinister, but they actually do give him a pretty tragic backstory, and it was actually really well handled, and I really did feel for this character. As much as you're creeped out by this character, as much as you're like, oh, this is not a good situation at all, you can't help but feel for this character, and they did such an incredible job with that, to the point where when something did happen at the end of the movie, as cathartic as it was that this was going on, I kind of did feel bad for the guy. I really did, and he really did an incredible job with the writing here. For the most part, I have to say, because as I said, most of my problems with this movie, I have been told, are going to be fixed in the extended cut. The extended cut will be on Vimeo in a few days if you guys are interested, which that review will have spoilers. But without saying too much, Tony, Caden, Ryan's character, and Brian's character, their characters in the movie, they're not really characters to me. They don't really have much going on. Tony's got like 2 scenes. Caden's basically doing the same thing throughout most of the movie. There's scenes in the film I just didn't really find myself, like, I was intrigued, definitely, but I didn't find myself as sucked into, simply because I didn't really know too much about their characters, and I really wanted to know more about them. Like, why are these characters this way? What caused them to do this? You know, what got them to this point? What is really going on in their scenes? I can't really tell you, and it's not because of spoilers, it's because I didn't really feel like there was really a lot going on with them, honestly. It just kind of felt like they were in the movie simply because they needed to be. It didn't feel like these were characters that actually did have a genuinely tragic backstory, which, again, I'm sure this will be fixed in the extended cut, but for right now, I just didn't really feel like they had a ton going on, in this movie, unfortunately. And I'd love to say that they were great, because they were great. I mean, again, Tony was incredible in the movie. Caden as well did a really great job, but I just didn't feel like their characters really had a lot. They were honestly kind of lacking to me. Cinematography in this movie is really well done. I mean, it's, again, a very bleak, ominous tone. The movie switches from color to black and white a lot, and there are a few stylistic choices here and there that I didn't really understand, particularly one scene involving Tony's character. Most of the scenes are in black and white for those characters, but there's one scene that's in color, and again, I haven't really talked to Adam about this, but I'm not entirely sure why that scene was in color and the others were in black and white. I've heard multiple things, but I'm just not entirely sure. So again, maybe the extended cut's gonna fix that, but I just didn't understand why those were in black and white and then the other scenes were in color. It just didn't make a ton of sense to me. And then, you know, but the cinematography in general, the way the campground looks is just so dark, and the ambiance of, you know, just the woodsy setting in general was just really well portrayed here. I just thought it was just really well executed, and in general, I really was kind of gripped to my seat throughout the film, and the movie really does get darker and darker and darker as it goes on, but it's not in a forceful way. It's not like, oh, we're trying to be dark, we're trying to be serious, you know, we're trying to just manipulate your emotions. It actually feels very natural, and there really is a natural progression for these characters throughout the movie, and it makes it that much more creepier. This is easily one of the most suspenseful films I've seen this year. I mean, I'm being honest with you guys, it really is. I mean, I honestly was on the edge of my seat, and it definitely is something where my heart was pounding pretty fast throughout this entire movie. And again, I'm not just saying that because Adam's my friend. I truly mean it when I say that this movie is quite unnerving at points. It really is. Now, the score in this movie. The score is definitely on point. I will say I did feel some of the music was a bit overused, like the song choices. I get it that, you know, Haskell obviously had a lot of limited resources, but in general, I just felt he could have used a couple other music choices here and there. And again, maybe that's going to be fixed again in the extended cut. I thought it worked. I just thought there were a couple music choices that were a bit overused, a couple songs here and there. But the score in general is fantastic. It starts off and it's all fun and cheery, but it gets darker and darker, and especially towards the end of the movie. This movie gets so dark and just depressing, and the music perfectly went in conjunction with that tone. I was very impressed with the way that was done. And then the editing here. This movie is very, very short. I mean, it's a quick 72 minutes long. The extended cut, I believe, is going to be a lot longer. At least that's what Adam and Tony and Caden have told me. That's going to be actually a lot longer. But this cut, I thought was the perfect length. I really did. I thought it was actually cut really well. Besides some of Tony and Caden's scenes, cut their scenes out of the movie is cut perfectly. I think they did a really great job with some of the cuts. There is one awkward scene involving Dustin's character with him eating cereal, and I get it that it was played for laughs here and there, but it just did feel kind of out of place to me. There are some scenes that are played for laughs. They honestly do actually work pretty well, but other than that, guys, I honestly highly encourage that you guys do see this movie. It really is something great. I honestly think Adam does have a real good body of work here. Is it perfect? No, it's not perfect. I will fully admit that it's not perfect. Like I said, some of the characters I didn't really feel that connected to. There were some scenes that I thought were just a little bit awkward here and there. But like I said, there's an extended cut coming, and I think that's going to fix a lot of my problems. The way the movie wraps up, again, without spoiling it, is perfect. I mean, this is the first movie you'll see from the Batman Cookie, and it is the last. Adam really wanted this to be the right closure for the character, and I think he really closed this character out perfectly. He put this character in a place where I'm very satisfied with the way it wrapped up, and especially with the whole story. I mean, like I said, this movie really gets into some dark stuff, like, for example, you know, what really happens when there are criminals roaming the world, and, you know, Adam and Dustin aren't there to save them, because, you know, Adam and Dustin were the characters from Nerd Day Kick-Ass by Night, and they're not around anymore, and how's how's the Batman Cookie able to press on without them? I thought that was another really strong subject, and again, that's something that was also executed very well towards the end of the film. Either way, guys, I highly encourage you to check out this movie. I absolutely loved basically everything about the Batman Cookie 4. There are just a few things I didn't love. Other than that, guys, this is a phenomenal film, and I'm without a doubt going to give the Batman Cookie 4 Another Day of Sun an A-. So overall, guys, for me, the Batman Cookie 4 Another Day of Sun. Let me know what you guys saw this movie overall. Loved your thoughts. And I will post the link for the full movie down below, because, again, I want you guys to see this movie. I really do. I want this movie to be something big. I really want to get the word out. I just want a lot of people to know about this thing. I really do. I mean, Adam's just worked really hard on this, and it's something I've heard about for a while now, and I'm just really happy that it was finally able to come together. And as I told you guys, we're supposed to be doing interviews today. I'm actually postponing them, and I'll tell you guys why. As I said, there's an extended cut coming, and I don't really have a lot of questions for some of the other stars, and I'm gonna wait till the extended cut comes for me to actually form a bigger opinion on those other characters, which I will be reviewing all the cuts to you. There's actually like 4 more cuts coming. There's an extended cut, there's like a noir cut, there's like a kid's version, things like that. If you guys want more questions, just PM Adam about it. But either way, guys, that's it for my review. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I am so happy that this movie turned out as it really did. Adam, if you're watching this, which you probably are, you really do have a great movie on your hands, and wish you the best of luck in the future, because this truly is something great that I really do hope everyone gets to see. But that's my review. Hope you guys enjoyed. We'll see you guys in my next video, which I think will be for Preacher, and we'll see you guys for that. Okay, bye.